Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my channel. In this video I'll show you the making of a very beautiful kids frock for a 5-year girl, and you can make it for any age and just by altering the measurements by following the same method, right? And I'm using these fabrics for this dress. This is net fabric and it's royal blue color, and I'm using 2 meters of it. This is silk fabric in the same color and it's 1.5 meters. It's called chameau silk. And this is white fabric. We'll use it in contrast of blue fabric, and it is also silk, and I'm using 1 meter of this fabric. And apart from these fabrics, we'll use lining and cancan. And so I have taken 2 pieces of lining fabric for the skirt. The length is 15 inches. It is 1 inch less than the total length of skirt required, and we'll hem the bottom as well, so it should be 1 or 2 inches less than the full length of the skirt, right? And these are 2 layers for front and back, and we'll use cancan on this lining, and the cancan fabric is wider than lining fabric. The length is 14 inches. It is 1 inch less than the lining fabric because we won't hem it from the bottom, and the width is greater than lining, so we'll pleat it down to the lining width. So we have pleated the cancan down to the lining width for both the front and the back parts. We'll join these 2 parts and pleat them down to the waist measurement now. So we have joined both the pieces of lining and pleated them down to the waist measurement. Our waist measurement is 22 inches. So I've pleated them down to 23 inches by taking 1 inch for seam allowance. Now this part is ready. Now we'll get the top part of the skirt ready. So for that I have taken 2 pieces of silk fabric. It is 16 inches long because we'll hem the bottom, and it is equal to the width of the fabric, and the width of the fabric is 43 inches. So the strips are 43 inches wide and 15 inches long, and these are 2 strips for front and back. We'll join these 2 strips together. The right sides are facing each other. We'll join them together and then go for a running stitch at the waist. So I've joined these 2 strips, and this is running stitch to gather the fabric. So there is much extra thread at one end, so we can pull the thread and adjust the gathers. And now we'll adjust the gathers and stitch it on machine down to the waist measurement. So I've gathered the fabric, as you can see, and stitched on machine, and now the gathers are secure and the fabric is equal to the width measurement, including 1 inch seam allowance. Now we'll take the net fabric. The net fabric is 16 inches long. It is equal to the length of the skirt we want because we won't hem the bottom of the net fabric here. These are 2 strips for front part and 2 strips for the back part, because we'll attach 2 layers of net fabric on the silk, right? So first we'll take 2 strips, join them together and gather at the top. Then we'll take the other 2 strips, join them together and gather at the top. So you can see I have joined 2 strips and then gathered by running stitch, and then the other 2 strips and gathered at the top. Now we'll take the silk fabric we just gathered down to the waist measurement, place 1 layer of net fabric and stitch it on the silk fabric at the waist by adjusting the gathers. Then place the other layer of net on this layer and stitch at the waist. By attaching the layers of the net separately, the volume of the frock will increase, right? So that's why we'll attach them separately, one above the other. So I have attached all the layers at the waistline, as you can see. And now we'll cut the petals to be attached on the waistline. We'll attach 2 layers of petals. One would be 8 inches long and the other would be 5 inches long. But we'll make 9 inches long petals, keeping 1 inch for seam allowance. So I have taken 9-inch long piece of paper, as you can see here, and the width is 5 inches because we need 3-inch wide pattern. 1 inch is for seam allowance and 1 inch is for a pleat at the center of the petal, right? The other layer of petal would be 5 inches long, and I have taken 6-inch long piece of paper, taking 1 inch for seam allowance, and the width is same, it's 5 inches, right? Now we'll fold the paper and draw the shape for the petal like this. The top part would be straight. So adjust the shape of the petals. We won't keep it narrower at the bottom because we need a 1/2 inch seam allowance as well. So keep it wider. So this would be the shape of our petal. We need a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the sides, and that would be the pleat at the center of the petal, right? Now we'll cut the other petal as well. So we'll fold the paper in the same way, draw the shape of the petal at the lower half like this. The upper part would be straight. So this would be the shape of the smaller layer of petals. So I've cut a white fabric 9 inches long because we need 9-inch long petals. And now we'll make 5-inch white pieces of this fabric, so it would be easy to cut. Similarly, I have taken 6-inch long strip of royal blue fabric. Because we need 6-inch long petals, now we'll cut them in 5-inch wide pieces. So I've cut the fabric pieces, the rectangular pieces, 5 inches wide. These are 6-inch long and these are 9 inches long. And now we'll take our petal pattern. This is the smaller petal pattern. We'll place the pattern on 3 or 4 rectangular strips. Place the pattern on it and cut the fabric in the same shape. And we'll do the same for the white petals as well. So I've cut the petals, as you can see. Now we'll take 2 pieces, join the right sides together and stitch the sides, leaving this side open so we can turn the right side out. We'll do the same for the blue petals. Take 2 pieces, join the right sides together, stitch at the sides here, and keep one side open so we can turn the right side out. Before stitching, as you can see, I have pinned the fabric in place so it will be easy to stitch. And now we'll go for the stitching, leaving a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the sides. So I've stitched the petals and make a few notches and then turn the right side out and then press all the petals very nicely. So I've pressed the petals. Now our petals are ready. We'll attach them on our skirt. So this is our skirt. We'll place the longer petals first. So place the petals one by one. Leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the side. Overlap the petals a little bit. And while stitching the petals on the waistline, we'll pleat at the center as well, like this. So pleat the petal and overlap the petals a little bit, and one by one attach the petals on the skirt. So I have attached the longer layer of petals one by one, overlapping them and making a pleat at the center of the petal as well. Now we'll place the second layer of petals. So we'll place the smaller petal exactly on the longer petal, make a pleat at the center and overlap the consecutive petals and stitch on the waistline. So I have stitched the petals. As you can see, it's very easy, it's looking very nice. Now we'll stitch all the layers together, all the layers of one side together. Now all the layers are stitched. Join the side and stitch the sides together. Leave a 4 to 5 inch gap at the top for the zip to go in. I have stitched the sides and finished this opening as well. Turn it on the wrong side and top stitch it, right? So our skirt is ready. We'll attach this lining and cancan part not to the skirt but to the lining of the bodice, so the waistline won't get very thick because of a number of fabric layers, right? So we'll attach it to the bodice lining. Now we'll get the bodice ready. For bodice, I took 2 pieces of fabric. The front part is 15 inches wide and 11 inches long, and the back part is wider than the front part. It is 1 inch wider, so it is 16 inches wide, because we need 1 inch seam allowance at the center for the zip, right? And the length is same, it's 11 inches long. We'll fold the back part, place the front part on it, and the extra fabric should be at the center back, here where we need the seam allowance. Now we'll mark for the bodice. We'll mark for the shoulder first. We mark half of the shoulder, so I'm marking at 5.5 inches. At this point, we'll mark for armhole round. We mark half of armhole round, so I'm marking at 6 inches. Join these 2 points. At this point, we'll mark for the chest. 1/4 of chest is marked, so I'm marking at 6 inches. And 1 inch for cutting. Now we'll mark for 1/4 of the waist. I'm marking at 5.5 inches, and at 1 inch we'll mark for the cutting. From this cutting mark, we'll draw a shape for back armhole. Now we'll draw a shape for front armhole deeper than the back armhole, like this. Now we'll mark for the neckline. For the neck width, I'm marking at 3 inches, and for the neck depth, I'm marking at 3 inches as well. Join these 2 points in a round shape. Now cut at the neckline. The front and the back neckline is same, so we are cutting them together. Then cut for the back armhole. Separate the back part and cut the front armhole. Now we've cut the bodice. We'll take this as pattern and cut lining for both front and back part. So I've cut the lining, as you can see here. Now we'll place the lining on the right side of the bodice and attach at the neckline and armhole. Similarly, for the back part, we'll stitch at the neckline and the armhole and make 2 stitch lines at the center back as well. So I've attached the lining at the neckline and armhole, and for the back part I made 2 stitch lines at the center. Now we'll cut here at the center of the 2 stitch lines. Now give a few notches and turn the right side out. Now press it very nicely. So I've pressed the back part very nicely. Now we'll insert the back part into the front bodice. Main body is facing the main bodice and lining is facing the lining. Keep in mind that the front bodice is not turned right side out, right? The wrong side of the front bodice is out. Now we'll match the shoulders and stitch there. So I've stitched the shoulders, give a few notches at the front neckline as well, and pull the back part. So the shoulders are done. Now press the front part as well. So I've pressed the front bodies, match the right sides together and stitch the sides. And for that, just open the pieces like this, match the right sides, bodies to bodies and lining to lining, and stitch there. Main bodies to the main bodies and lining to the lining, and stitch here. So I've stitched here. So it is very nicely finished from inside as well as outside. Now we'll take the skirt part, the lining and the cancan, and attach it to the lining of the bodice. So join the right sides, leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the side of the skirt, and simply stitch that together. Only the lining of the bodice to the lining of the skirt, right? So I've stitched here. Leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the side because our bodice is finished. Now it is looking very nice from the inside as well. No margin is visible. Match the sides and stitch there. Leave a 4 to 5 inch gap at the top. So I've stitched the bottom and leave a 4 inch gap at the top and pinned the fabric by turning it to the wrong side, and you can see it's looking like this. Now we'll take the main skirt And this is the opening of the zip, and this is the opening of the zip on the lining. We'll simply join the right side of the bodice to the skirt as we normally do. So this is the opening of the zip at the bodice, match it to the skirt and stitch here at the waistline simply. So I have stitched at the waistline, the skirt is inserted inside the bodice and the lining part is outside, the main skirt is inside, right? And join the waistline. So it is done. Now it's looking like this. And at the back part, this is the opening of the zip. We'll join them together, opening in the lining and the main skirt and top stitch. So stitch them together and this opening will be done. So it is looking very nice. As you can see, all the seams are invisible. Now we'll attach the zip. We'll simply place the zip under this opening and top stitch it. So I have placed the zip up to here, stitched it, then lift the petals up and stitch the lower half of the zip. So it's very easy, just place it under the opening and top stitch, right? And now it's looking like this. We'll attach a double bow at one shoulder of the bodice. So we'll get it ready first. For that we need 6 inches long strip. I cut the extra fabric and it is 60 inches wide. So if you don't have that much wide fabric, you can take 2 pieces and join them together, right? Now we'll fold the side and stitch here. So I've stitched the side and cut the extra fabric. On fold it is 2.5 inches. And I have made the corners pointed like this. Now we'll unstitch 3 to 4 inch at the center. And from here we'll turn the right side out. So simply take a pointed thing like a pen or a pencil and turn the right side out like this from this opening at the center here. Do the same on the other side and press it very nicely. So I've pressed the strip very nicely and now we'll shape it into a bow. So we'll place the strip like this on the shoulder, fold it, give a big fold and then pin here on the shoulder, then give a small fold on the first one. Pin here at the shoulder. Now do the same on the other side. A small fold first. And then a bigger fold under the smaller one. Pin here at the shoulder. So this is how it looks. Now we'll wrap them at the center at the shoulder point, and before wrapping I stitched the bows in place. Now take a strip and wrap here. So our bows will be ready. So I've attached the strip on the center and attached a few beads on the top. So it's looking like this. It's looking very nice. So our dress is ready. I didn't hem the bottom and you can hem if you want. This is the final look of the dress. It's looking very nice as you can see. I hope you like the video. If you do, thumbs up, and if you have any question related to this dress, you can ask in comments. And thank you so much for watching, and Allah Hafiz till the next video.